It's time. So, God did not tell Noah to build an ark. God did not destroy the world by flood. And God is not in the Bible. And the Bible is not a religious nor spiritual text at all. That's what we're talking about in this conversation. Hey family, hey family, hey family. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Come on in here. Roll call. Come on in, come on in, come on in. You know what time it is. It is Witchy Wednesday. Baby, I just love the magic of technology. I just love it. Whenever we're on Zooms and all these special effects come on, I think it's something in my MacBook. Whenever the special effects come on, they always come on at the exact perfect time. Like that's the most amazing thing about it. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Come on in. Where are you? You are at the Valerie Love YouTube channel, and you are at the Christian Witches YouTube channel, and you are at the Christian Witches Facebook page. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Source Pagan, I love this question. Source Pagan says, if I made a Discord server for you and sent you the link for it this way, you don't have to set it up and I can make you admin of the server. I can send it to business email. That is so sweet of you. I just love that. I just love that. I just love that. However, we used to be on Discord. I used to be on Discord a while back with, we have done almost everything in these almost 20 years that I have been on this journey of teaching and being an author and all of that deliciousness. Hey, Aurora Day, how you loving? And so we used to have a Discord server a while back, and Discord is fun. Discord is fun. I've got to tell you that. Can I share something with y'all, family? I am in a coaching program right now. And I just signed myself up for this coaching program. It's an intensive coaching program. And we just started today, actually. I'm always seeking coaches, seeking to be better, seeking to up my game, seeking to be more of what I am created to be, to fulfill divine potential as I inspire prayerfully everyone who watches, as I inspire you to do the same. So I've got to do it. If I talk it, right, I've got to walk my talk. Well, this coach, let me tell you about this coach. And then we're going to dive into Noah. Come on, baby. We're going to dive into Noah. Apparently, the AI is very happy that we're talking about Noah tonight, okay? We getting into Noah and the flood, baby. We're going to get into it. And so this coach is actually teaching me how to be. I won't say teaching me how to be. She is rebranding. We're rebranding everything. Don't you love the magical Aurora Day? We are rebranding everything to luxury. Everything. So I'm not making any moves at all. I haven't even been welcoming new initiates into the mystery school, which in the initiation program in the mystery school will be starting up again soon. We'll be inviting new students in to become high priests and high priestesses in the mystery school. I have not opened the mystery school back up again yet for initiation, though it will open soon. And I haven't started another program, even though tomorrow night Money Magic completes. I've been coaching with Money Magic, coaching that group for 12 weeks now. It has been chef's kiss. So I haven't even really decided on fully the next trajectory, the next thing that we will pour our energy and attention to into for you all, because I am in this coaching program and we're going to be rebranding and we're going to be creating something bigger and better than ever for all of you. And I hope you love it. And I know you will. I know you'll love it because it's just delicious. It's just delicious. Now, subscribe to the Valerie Love YouTube channel. Over on the Valerie Love YouTube channel, we talk about money, magic, and money, and metaphysics. I've been doing that for 15 years on the Valerie Love YouTube channel. Plus, you get travel content, a little bit of lifestyle content over there, all about living the inspired life. Now, here on the Christian Witches YouTube channel, and I say here because this is Witchy Wednesday, and we're focused on Christian witches tonight, okay? So here on the Christian Witches YouTube channel, this is where we talk all things ancient mysteries, origins of humanity, secrets of the Bible. What is the Bible really about? Bible magic, hoodoo even. And we do We even do a lot of interviews with other Christian witches. We do all of that here on the Christians. It is solely and expressly for those who are integrating Christ in the craft. That is what the Christian Witches YouTube channel is all about. And that's also what the Christian Witches Facebook is about. The Christian Witches TikTok is blowing up. I love it. Growing, growing, growing so fast. The Christian Witches Instagram, all of it, all of it, all of it is out there for you. And everything is linked below. Let's begin. Screen share. We have a lot to talk about tonight, so let's dive in. Plus, the coven is tonight. And if you are not in the coven or you don't know what I'm talking about, you just go to christianwitches.com. And when you go to christianwitches.com, there's a couple of things that you want to look at while you're there. Of course, you want to look at the pictures from the Christian Witches Convention and put your name on the list for early notification of the next Christian Witches Convention 2025. It will be the 5th one annual, and it will be explosive. So be with us in New Orleans. But here, I want you to go right here to the coven. Hold on. Coven. Right there. Click on coven, and that's where you're going to see the Isis Arising Coven, and you're going to be able to understand a little bit more about the coven, what we do in the coven, who the coven is for, if the coven is for you, how to know if the coven is for you, what we cover in the coven, all of that. So that is all on that page. And also, if you want to know when we are doing initiation again of our next priests, high priests, and high priestesses, you can go to christianwitches.com, click on initiation. And all you do is text us. Just text the word initiation to 844-947-6730. I'll just drop this in the chat for you, and you can find out all about initiation. Okay? So let's get into it. Interesting shit, isn't it, Jack? Yes. Just text that word to the number to 844-947-6730, and you'll get the deal. You'll get all the info you need. And for the coven, I'll just drop the link for the coven right in the chat too, so that we'll have it. And we're going to get into Noah. Wow, there's a lot to talk about with regard to Noah. There is a lot to talk about. So I did a timeline for us too, because I thought a timeline might be very helpful. Now, if you've never been here before, you are at Christian Witches. For those who love Christ and the craft, I am the author of 25 books on practical spirituality, the occult, Christian witchcraft. I'm a seeker of truth. I have no allegiance to any particular thought system or belief. I just want to know what happened. Just tell me what happened. We are magical beings all over the world. We are students of the magical arts and sciences, including the mystical arts, ancient civilizations, ancient secrets. We are involved in what is called the great work, which is ascension. And that is my only goal. My only goal is ascension, expansion of consciousness. That is it. Until you look in the mirror, like Kabbalah says, your only question you need to ask yourself every day when you wake up and look in the mirror is, am I God yet? That's all you need to ask yourself. Am I God yet? And that does not mean the little egoic self is ever going to turn into God. No, it means, have I realized my true oneness with the all, the infinite consciousness, all that is, from which all emerges? Am I in an absolute realization of this oneness with the all? That's all. Are you in your God self? That's all we want to know. More of my books. Now, this is what we're going to be talking about tonight in Noah and the Flood. We're going to talk about the role of myth. We've got to talk a little bit about the role of myth, because Noah is a great myth. We're going to talk about the fact that most cultures around the world have a flood story. Now, that was shocking to me when I first found out, because I grew up in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was deeply involved in the cult. Was bred on fundamentalist Christianity, baby. And it was the Bible and the Bible and all day the Bible and nothing but the Bible. And it was, if it wasn't Jesus, it wasn't worthy of your time nor attention. I have grown since then. Yet that's what I used to, that's what they told me. I never believed the whole thing. There was always a part of me that was standing aside just looking at it. All of me was never in the thing, no matter how zealous they were with seeking to convince me. They loved me. All our people, they loved us. They were giving us, they were beating us with the same whip that they had been beat with. So what can you say? That's why you are such a hero, Shiro, because you decided to step up and step out and beat your own drum and walk to your own path and forge through the wilderness with a machete and walk your own path. Those are the true heroes. You. Okay, we're going to talk about a timeline of important events. I'm putting together a timeline for the book because all of this will be deeply documented in my new book that's coming out. The Real God is Not in the Bible. And I'm going to be doing a book tour where I can really break these things down next year at events where you can see all of the details, slides, and all of it on this whole story that is tremendously important and that really upsets everything. We're also going to talk about the shocking story. We're going to have a little bit of story time that God had nothing to do with the flood. God had nothing to do with the flood. And I'm going to give you some resources. Stay all the way to the end because YouTube just loves people that watch the video all the way through. And hopefully this video will provide you with enough value that you just want to watch the whole thing all the way through. I got so much good stuff to share with you in the Bible. I mean, in this video about the Bible and beyond the Bible to just stay with the video all the way through. I love you for that. Here's fair warning. All of you beautiful beings that are here, witches, wizards, warlocks, magical beings, all of you that are here, y'all get it. Y'all understand it. All of you wonderful people that are free in the mind and free in your spirit and living your best life and all of that, knowing that your God's, the divinity is inside you. You're not praying to sky gods anymore. You know you are the God. For all of you, this isn't for you. Now, for people who still believe, because I see in the comments that there are still people that are really still stuck in the story that a fish really can swallow a man and the man can live in the belly of the fish for 3 days. A virgin can have the baby. 8 billion people can come from two people, even though it's not biology, it's not science. It's okay. Or anything else from the Bible. If you really believe all these things are happening, this video may be very triggering. Not maybe. This video will be highly triggering, and it is best if you might not. Fair warning. If you stay, fair warning. Now, here's the disclaimer about Noah and the flood. I like to give this little disclaimer up top. I like to share what my intention is up top. The intention is not to prove or disprove the Bible. Noah, did Noah actually exist? All of those things. That's not the intention here. I love the Bible. In the Bible, this is not to disprove the Bible. I love the Bible. I'm a witch that loves the Bible. Have a whole Bible collection. I've shown it to a few of my Bibles. I've shown them to you a few times. The intention here is to share ancient, potent mysteries and secrets, esoteric knowledge that changes everything, that sets the mind free. Because many people are still shackled, and we want the entire world to be free in your mind. The bottom line is, don't believe anything anyone tells you. Find out for yourself. Don't believe me. Don't believe anything anyone tells you. We don't need belief in the spiritual path. The spiritual path is not about belief. That's religion. Religion needs you to believe things that are highly improbable and very unlikely. So it needs you to believe it because we know it could never happen. Don't believe anything that anyone tells you. You find out for yourself. See, when you find out for yourself, you are like the Gnostics, or people who said that they have Gnostic means a person who had gnosis. That means they know, right? We don't have to believe things. We don't have to believe Jesus is coming back. Revelation is about the apocalypse to come. Revelation is not about the future. We're going to have another conversation about what Revelation really is. That's an episode for a future day. We don't have to believe these things because when you know, you don't need belief. Okay, so that's why I say find out for yourself. Now, let's talk about the role of myth. Isn't this what we were told about Noah? This is pretty much the scene from the Bible. Big ark. You got all two butterflies, 2 penguins, 2 giraffes, 2 elephants, 2 tigers, 2 lions, a lion and a lioness, 2 goats, 2 walruses, 2 seals, or maybe not seals because maybe they could swim, 2 hogwarts, 2 pigs. Stop me at any time. Stop me at any time. 2 rhinoceros, 2 giraffes, 2 water buffaloes. Stop me at any time, family. 2 hippopotamus or hippopotami, 2 snakes, every kind of snake, 2 of each of every kind of snake, 2 beetles, 2 dung beetles, 2 ants, 2 moths, 2 lizards. I mean, really, this is what they told us. Is this not what they told us? Let me go on. 2 monkeys, 2 chimpanzees, 2 orangutans, 2 gorillas. Let me go to the other family. 2 sheep. What else is there? 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 wolves. How did I ever believe this? That's what they told us, right? And they swore by it. Let me come off screen share for a second. Let me come off screen share for a second because I got to know what the family is saying. 2 roaches. The family says stop. You can stop right there. Family. 2 roaches. 2 cockroaches. They swore. It sounds like a lab experiment. 2 frogs, 2 toads. They swore this story to us. Do we understand, family, that this Sunday in churches, they will swear to a whole new group of children in Sunday school that this actually happened, that this is a fact. That's what's going to happen this Sunday in Sunday school. My God. Woo! These people. 2 aardvarks. And I was asking questions about this, family. Were you asking questions about this when you were little? I was asking, how did the lions not like attack the rest of it? Because God did it. It's a miracle. You know, they have a real handy out. Their handy out is it's a miracle. It's anything you can't explain, anything that doesn't make logical sense, anything that's scientifically impossible, anything that completely goes against the rules of nature and the natural laws as we know it. It's a miracle. Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. So we now understand the story as it was told to us. I'm just setting up this argument here. We are clear on the story that we were given. It's just hilarious because they're just so on it. They're so on it. This is a complete scientific impossibility. It's no zoo in history has even done it. 2 pandas. Get all the endangered species. Get the pandas. Save the animals. Oh my God. Oh man, I'm gonna run my makeup. Wait a minute, let me get a tissue because y'all got me cracking up about this. Whew. I can't even. Oh my goodness. Okay, I digress. Back one. Hey God, how you love it? How you love it? Back to the story. Okay, I have a point. I'm going somewhere with this. Oh, laughter is good for the soul. Okay, let's get back on track here. Before I won't be able to go on. Okay, so we understand the story as they told us. The story is not truth. This story is what we would call myth. What is a myth? A myth is a very powerful, useful tool. A myth is a traditional story or narrative that is designed to explain some aspect of existence or human nature, or it's supposed to help us behave better, or it's supposed to help us gain wisdom or garner wisdom. It is truth encoded in a story or a legend. It's legendary. What is a myth? A myth doesn't mean a lie. I've talked about this on the Valerie Love YouTube channel, that a myth doesn't mean a lie. A myth means that there's a kernel of seed truth with a story, an improbable, implausible, probably impossible story wrapped around the seed kernel of truth. And what we've got to understand is, oh, that's a myth. And the myth is like a vitamin. So the vitamin has the nutrients inside, yet it has a coating on it so that you can swallow it, get it into your body, so that then the vitamin goes to work. So why is the kernel seed of truth so why do we do that as humans? We encode our truths in myths because we're meaning makers, we're storytellers, we need myth. We would die without our stories. It gives us something to live for, it gives us meaning in life, it explains our existence. We need that. We're existential creatures, we are meaning seekers. And so our myths and our legends, that's why I love the Bible, because I love the myths and legends of the Bible, yet I know it's a myth. I'm not thinking that it's facts. That's where people fall into the black hole. They fall into the abyss because when you take the myth itself for the truth, you miss the seed kernel hidden inside of it. And all of the people who have been able to crack the code, like you, of the myth to get to the seed kernel encoded inside are called occultists. Why? Because occult means hidden. Something is hidden in this story. So I must peer deep with the light of truth shining brightly from my third eye. I must peer deeply into this legend, this myth, this story. Why did Inanna descend and give up at each level as she was descending? She gave up an item that she had. What did each item represent? See, if I peer deeply into the myth, the legend, I will find truth. That's why I love the Bible. The Bible is not factual, though the Bible does have truth. See, because myths are not facts. Myths are stories. It's a story. Okay? Now, we literally have hundreds of flood stories all across the world. Now, when I first heard this, I was stunned. You can imagine I was stunned. I'm talking hundreds of flood stories. Every culture on every continent has flood stories, from China to Japan to India to the Americas, including North America, South America, the Hopi, the First Nations of North America, First Nations of South America, the Mayan, the Toltecs, the Aztecs, the Inca. Go over to the First Nations of the First Nation of Australia, throughout Africa. Flood stories, of course, Mesopotamia. Now, we have a whole lot of hundreds of flood stories. They're all over the world. Just look up flood stories. Well, what we want to focus on is Noah and the flood, and we want to understand what is going on with all these flood stories. Well, because the Bible is not unique, and we have the ancient Sumerian, the Akkadian, the Assyrian, the Babylonians, right? We have all of them who give us a version of the flood story, and these are much older than the Hebrew Bible, right? The Hebrew Bible is a baby among these stories. Well, and even in the cuneiform tablets, where we find the ancient Sumerian stories, supposedly the oldest on the planet. Sumer is supposedly the oldest on the planet, even though we would say that perhaps Egypt is one of the oldest, as well as Kemet, ancient Kemet. And actually, the Anunnaki, or the Elohim, as they're called in the Bible, used to refer to themselves as the black-headed people, which is very, very interesting. I don't know if they were referring to their hair, their skin. I don't know what they were referring to, but I just find that very, very fascinating. Anyway, the story, and I'm certainly weren't talking about race. Let me let this be known. There were no races until recently. Races are a fairly new invention. This whole black white thing, that's a new invention. We've only had that for a few hundred years. What did we have before then? Before then, people were from certain places, just like you see in Game of Thrones. Is anybody watching Hot D, House of the Dragon? It was like that. Back in the day. You were Roman, or you were Judean, or you were Samaritan. And these people had different shades. There were ranges of color among the people. The Phoenicians, the Assyrians. The Assyrians didn't all look alike. The Egyptians didn't all look alike. But people knew, oh, you were Egyptian, oh, you're Samaritan, oh, you're Judean, oh, you're from Galilee, you're Galilean. This whole black white thing, they just started that. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. It's very new. If you look at the whole timeline of humanity never described themselves in terms of colors. You always described yourself or identified yourself in terms of your clan, your people that you came from. And your clan, some that maybe most of them look similar to you, they weren't all identical. All Norse people are not identical. All Egyptian people are not identical. All black people are not identical, and all white people are not identical. So America got you fucked up in the head. These colonizers went around the world and they started making colors for people. There ain't no colors. Everyone's God. There's no colors. It's a very new invention. Get rid of it. It's not helpful for humanity. It's causing people to fight each other over silliness, just like we have in the Middle East right now. My God is better than your God. That's what the whole war is about in the Middle East. My God said I'm supposed to be here and you're not. Wow. Like aren't we beyond this? Humanity. Let's ascend beyond my God is better than yours, my temple is better than yours, my skin color is better than yours. None of that is helping us. I promise you this, if we had an existential threat, like some comet coming to kill all of us, do you think the comet is going to only kill black people or only white people or only Jewish people or only this kind? Baby, did COVID only kill this kind of person or that kind of person? It doesn't exist. The separation only exists in the egoic mind. It's not real. It's not real. We are one. We are one. We are one. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent. Let's come back. Here are the stories all over the world. They have some tropes. In other words, they have similarities. What are some of these similarities? That there is some kind of angry God that's doing it. There's a punishment. Got to have an angry God in the story, don't you? Hey, cue the angry God. Here comes the angry. Rah! Rah! Destroy! Kill them all! Why do all these stories have to have some kind of angry God? I like, what is he angry about? You're a God. You can do whatever you want. Why are you angry? I can never understand why the creator of the entire cosmos is so angry. Like, what are you angry about? You own everything. You can do anything. You're timeless. Nothing can thwart you. What? Why are you even paying attention to Satan the devil? Like, if I was the all God, would I even be concerned about it? Satan would be a gnat on an elephant's behind. Why would you even concern yourself? That's how you know this story doesn't fit together. Like, you're the all God of the whole universe, and we just discovered that there's hundreds of billions of galaxies. You're the God that created hundreds of billions of galaxies. I don't know why my funny bone is on tonight. And on this one tiny planet, a speck in the Milky Way galaxy, you could blow up this planet and nothing around us would even bat an eye in this universe. But supposedly, This God has a beef with some people here on this planet. We got to kill him. Oh my God. These stories they're just interesting stories. Okay, once again, they're myths, they're legends, they're stories. So a lot of the stories feature some kind of angry God who's about to bring some kind of punishment. They also feature some kind of good man, a wonderful man. You're going to give him instructions. The God is going to give this man instructions to survive. Then part of the story also, there's several stories. I'll tell you about a few of different ones. We'll look at them in a moment. Um, Only a small amount of the people survive. Sometimes only a couple to restart all the population. Now we know that's a myth because you can't restart 8 billion. You can't get 8 billion people from two people. That's a biological impossibility. They also have this birds motif or this birds tropes that they send out birds and the bird comes back with some kind of leaf. First, the bird comes back nothing. Then the bird comes back with some kind of leaf. That's repeated in a few different stories. And then the God feels remorse. After the God sees all the destruction that the God did, the God feels, oh, wow, I feel so bad that I did this. I'll never do it again. And, and you get some kind of blessing or some kind of, yay, you survived. Oh, I feel so bad. I just killed unalived all these people. Oh, I feel bad about that. Well, let me bless these ones that are still here and just tell them I'm never going to do that again. But you're God. Do you see why I say, family, that the real God is not in the Bible? None of these stories are God stories. All of these stories are Elohim stories. And the Elohim are powerful beings. They came here from other star systems. Some of them came from Nibiru. Many of them, they are known as the Anuna gods. That's what the Sumerians called them. I don't call them gods at all. I call them advanced beings. They are talked about in the Bible. The Bible mentions different kinds of them, and the different ways that you can spot these different Elohim are by, first of all, Elohim being plural, that they are powerful ones, or magistrates, or administrators, or lords, or rulers, or they have different sort of what do I want to categories, or different kinds of ways that people ascribe power to them. Okay. And then we also have the watchers, also known as the Ijiji, which are sort of a lower class. I don't want to say lower class because I don't want to be condescending to the Ijiji, but they supposedly were not as high as the Anuna gods, right? Sort of like a worker force. And then you had a few different existing hominids that were on this planet. They're all extinct now, according to what we've heard. That's what science tells us, that they're all extinct now. I don't know if that's true. They even have hobbits. Hobbits were one of the species that was on this planet. A hominid that was a hobbit, only about 3 feet tall, very large feet, exactly like in Lord of the Rings. Kid you not, as the AI. There, there are hobbits, and they lived in Indonesia. And they had big feet, just like Lord of the Rings. Okay, let's go on. Now, I made this little uh, sort of um, timeline because I wanted us to look at some things here in this timeline, give us a little perspective. Supposedly, the Elohim arrived here about 450,000 years ago, supposedly. Now, we do know that there were already hominids living on the planet back then, 450,000 years ago or so, because why do we know that? Well, we have bones. So we know that they lived in Africa. We know that there were different hominids already on the planet. So the Anuna gods, quote unquote, or the Elohim, as they're called in the Bible, they didn't create humanity out of nothing. Nothing other than the infinite source can create something out of nothing. You can genetically engineer something, you can crossbreed something, yet they didn't create something out of nothing. There were already hominids on this planet before they came here. So they came about 450,000 years ago. there were already hominids on this planet. I'm saying this because this is germane to the story. The hominids that were already on this planet were different kinds. As I just mentioned, there was a hobbit, there was a naledi. They just recently found Homo naledi, Naledi, in Africa. That actually, I watched the whole thing on TV. It was very fascinating. Now, you can't always say that these TV shows, history channels, and things like this, these TV shows, they're giving you the story according to the typical story, right? Yet, naledi is a hominid that had the ability for worship and spirituality because they had funeral rites, burial rites, rituals. They had art on cave walls. So they're telling you this signals to not archaeologists, to anthropologists, that Naledi was an existential being, an existential being. They could have thoughts or ideas that were awe inspired, I could say, art, things like this. And it's very fascinating. Look it up on TV. I think it's the History Channel on one of those. It's very fascinating. It shows their burials. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. So Naledi has been here. Some of these hominids have been here for 1.9 million years on planet Earth. Different hominids. Homo, the Homo genus. Homo means they were erect, they were some kind of being that was walking around doing things. They had family structures, they had intelligence, they had some tools, they had different things. So these hominids were living in concurrence with this highly technological advanced civilizations that came here. They were living all concurrently. About 300,000 years ago is Homo sapiens emerge somewhat rapidly. It's some kind of, it happened faster than what evolution says it should have happened over millions of years. But all of a sudden, we have this very advanced being, more advanced than the others, Homo sapiens. That's because of the genetic engineering of Enki, the prime scientist of the Nuna, also known as the Elohim, doing his, you know, uh, genetic engineering to create a species. Now, how did that happen? Well, the Ijiji, who had been working and working and working and working and working for the longest, they say for hundreds of thousands of years, probably so, 150, 200,000 years, working, working, working. They had an uprising. And of course, Enki, being a strategist, a scientist, a wisdom keeper, sometimes denoted as a serpent, super geniusy, super sciencey, also super crafty. He's like the loophole finder. That will be important when you look at the Noah story. The loophole finder, he's going to find a loophole if there is one. So he's super crafty. And I believe that many of our gods that we have in different pantheons, and in most pantheons, you will find a trickster god. In almost every pantheon that we work with in magic, you will find a trickster god. And I do believe that these trickster gods owe some of their ancestry to Enki. So, genetic engineering. And what does that have to do with these existing hominids that were around? Well, according to the story, they were talking about in their sky council that's mentioned once again in Psalms. The book of Psalms talks about the sky council. In the sky council, or, where they had their space station, they had a conversation, they had a meeting about how we're going to replace these workers. And we need, it was Ninhursag, I believe, or also known as Ninma, who came up with the idea, hey, we need to create a race, and we probably could create a race because we could sort of do a genetic mashup of, if there's a being we could find to do this. But then when they talked about the being that was already there, is a being, we've seen these beings running around. They weren't paying attention to them before, they just left them alone. They were, milling around in Africa and different places in the world. They left them alone. But then they said, hey, what if we get them, but we can't get them to do the work because they don't seem smart enough. We got to teach them to use tools and build and all that. And so they said, hey, how about if we just genetically modify them and get them to a place where they're not as smart as us? Notice that was always in contract. No, don't make them like us. Make them sort of like us, but not all the way like us. Like living for hundreds of thousands of years or thousands of years, like almost immortal. Don't make them like us in that they'll be able to be as smart as us. Well, we can make them smart enough. And sure enough, that's what they did. They started to grab some of them, put them in cages, and then eventually they created the Adamu, also known as Adam, in the Eden, or also known as, in the Bible, we call it the Garden of Eden, right? In the Sumerian text, it's called the Eden, Edin. Well, and then of course, after they brought forth the Adamu, and they had the Adamites, which are the children or the offspring of the Adamu or Adam. The Bible calls them Adam. The Adamu was, they had birth mothers, they had surrogate mothers that were giving birth to the new Adamu, but they could only had six. So they said, wow, if we can, and we got to wait 10 moons to have the baby. So a human baby takes 10 moons to be born. So, wow, it's going to take us, at this rate, it'll take us forever just to get 100 of them. So how about we give them the ability to mate? Now, they were not supposed to have the ability to reproduce, and being a genetic manipulated species, obviously you wouldn't be able to reproduce anyway, because most things that you crossbreed are sterile to stop that genetic problem. It's like a fail-safe in nature, right? And so sure enough, Enki went to tinkering and said he was going to give them the ability to reproduce. And so they got an Eve and they got Adam, and they say they killed one of their gods to get the blood from him, and then the mud from this earth and the being, and they did a mashup and genetics, and voila, it worked. Their first few situations failed miserably, yet they finally happened on something that worked. And then they got to the point where they modified it so that it could reproduce on its own. The Adam and the Eve, and the Adamu and the Eve, they had pairs in the Eden, right? And so they had many of them breeding. And it was, like I said, it was a variety of hominids on the planet. So we cannot think that 8 billion people can come from 2 people. That is not a diverse enough gene pool. Could never have happened. Could never have happened. Yet the Bible is giving us, once again, a myth with a true seed encoded in it. Now, let's go further. So we got Homo sapiens sapiens. That's how Homo sapiens came about 300,000 years ago. But there was still other Homo erectus. Homo sapiens sapien, which is us, is modern day humans. We're the only Homo erectus that survived. I think we should be very thankful about that. And I think we should also be very mindful about that all the rest of them went extinct. And I think we ought to pay attention to what has happened on this planet for the last millions, hundreds of thousands of years. That those Homo erectus species, different ones all over the world, they all went extinct, except for us. That should be a warning. That should be a, wow, we ought to do things differently. Because if we don't, where are we going to end up? Where are we going to end up? So let's do things differently, right? Let's do things differently. Let's ascend our consciousness. Let's come into oneness. Let's understand our true, divine, powerful nature. Okay, let's move forward. So you see, you got all these years, and then finally you have the older Dryas, which is a huge climactic event that occurred on the planet for about 1,200 years, from 14,100 to 13,900. That's the older Dryas. And then we have the younger Dryas. The younger Dryas happened from 12,900 to about 11,700 years ago, is what I'm referring to. And these were both huge climactic events and sort of one behind the other. Well, I know this is not to scale, by the way. This is just to give you an idea. There's about 1,000 years difference between the older Dryas and the younger Dryas, okay? Then if you come about 3,200 and some odd to about 3,100 years ago, we have the Bronze Age collapse, where everything just goes to hell in a handbasket. It just goes to shit. Look up the Bronze Age collapse. It's just boom. All the major civilizations just collapse. Kind of like now. Anywho, going a little bit further in time or closer to us, we have when the Hebrew Bible was redacted in the 600s, about 2,625 years ago. So the Hebrew Bible was redacted, and that's when all the Yahweh stories, that's when Yahweh was pasted over all the Elohim. Elohim got pasted over with this one God idea. El Shaddai got pasted over with this one God idea. El Elyon got pasted over with this one God idea. It was a whole lot of L's in the Bible. As you can hear me talking about different L's in the Bible. Michael was another L. We also know him as the Archangel Michael, the warrior. There was a lot of L's. There were many L's, but they pretty much got pasted over because the Yahwehs, when they redacted the Hebrew Bible. You can read all about this in a book that I'm going to give you at the end, that I'm going to show you at the end. You really want to understand when the Bible was redacted, what happened to the Bible. That before it was redacted, Asherah was in there, God's wife was in there, all the different L's were in there, and they did a whitewash. They did a whole revamp of the Bible in the 600s during Babylonian captivity. And there's reasons why, and I can't say whether it was good or bad. One way or the other doesn't matter, because that wasn't my book to speak on. The Hebrew Bible belonged to the people. They have the right to do whatever they want to do to their book. So I don't have any problem with it. No one knew it was going to become the Bible for billions of people around the world. It was their book. It was the Hebrew people's book, right? Later became the Jewish people. It was their book. They can do whatever they want with their book. And during the time of Jesus, about 2,025 years ago or so, Jesus being born somewhere around 1 CE, or maybe even before that, 1 BC, somewhere around there, Jesus was born. Well, when Jesus was born about a little over 2,000 years ago, we still didn't have a Bible. They had the law and the prophets. These were two different sets. The law and the prophets. The law with the Deutero canon, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. This was the law. And then the prophets were like Isaiah and Ezekiel and so forth and so on. So it still wasn't all one book when Jesus was alive. And that's why Jesus always refers to the law and the prophets. He says it separately because they were separate. They were different scrolls. They had not all been collected yet into one volume. We must understand this. And then, of course, a whole lot happened to create a religion. And now here we are, 2024. So I just want to give a little bit of a timeline so that we can understand a little bit more. We can have a broader perspective of time. And the reason that the line still goes that way is because it was millions of years before the Elohim got here. And the reason time still goes on past us is because it's going to be millions of years after us. So it's not like we're blips on the radar screen, right? Now, Noah and the flood. Where are you going to read about Noah and the flood? And I'm going to give you a section of it in a moment. Where are you going to read about Noah and the flood? You're going to read about it in the Epic of Gilgamesh. And I know a lot of people say, but the Epic of Gilgamesh is a novel. It's the world's first novel. It's not true. It's a myth. And what did we say about myth? It's got truth encoded in it. Now, no one thought the Epic of Gilgamesh was talking about actual events until they found the city of Troy. No one thought the Epic of Gilgamesh was a real story. And then they started finding things that were in the Epic of Gilgamesh, just like the Bible. No one, most people did think the Bible was the only truth of our entire world until they went looking for evidence of the Bible and they found the exact opposite. They found that there were things so much older than the Bible that tells us the stories of the Bible that the Bible looked like a baby compared to some of these other stories. So you want to look at the Epic of Atrahasis. Atrahasis is one of the versions of Noah. And you want to look at the Eridu Genesis. Now, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, I'm going to show you part of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Tablet 11. I want to show you tablet, see right here, tablet 11 of the Epic of Gilgamesh. In Gilgamesh, the Noah character is called Utnapishtim. See right here? This is his name. His name is Utnapishtim. Sometimes you see it Utnapishtim with an N at the end. And sometimes you see it Uttanapishtim. Utnapishtim was the Noah in this story. Remember, there's Babylonian stories, there's Akkadian stories, there's Assyrian stories, there's Sumerian stories. In these stories that are talking about the same event, and then there's the biblical story. The hero of the story has different names depending on which version of the story you're looking at. So we don't have to argue, well, it was Atrahasis. No, it was Utnapishtim. No, it was Noah. It was all of them. Enlil, Anu, Enlil, and Ninurta, they're talking and they're like, we got to get rid of these humans. And humans did not know that there was a flood coming. Utnapishtim is telling Gilgamesh this story 10,000 years after the flood. And you might say, how is that possible? How is it possible that some of these kings on the Sumerian kings list were ruling for 30,000 years and 20,000 years and 80,000 years? Because these people were living, these beings, they were living for huge lifespans. And after Utnapishtim survived, they granted Utnapishtim not life immortal, it says immortality. Yet it wasn't immortality. It was, if it was immortality, Utnapishtim is still here. That would mean Noah is still on the planet. If it wasn't immortality, it meant he lived at least another 10,000 years, maybe 20,000, who knows? Okay, so what happened? Anu, Enlil, and Ninurta, they were talking, and they're like, this flood is coming. Now, they knew that the flood was coming. They did not cause the flood. They only knew that it was coming. See, they want to punish them in the great flood of water. Now, they did not create the flood. In real terms, it was likely that the Antarctica shelf of ice moved, right, slipped off, causing a huge tsunami because they said it was a south wind that came. So if you look at geography, you say, oh, south of where they are. And they said it came from the deep south beyond Africa, beyond the Abzu. They called Africa the Abzu. Beyond the Abzu, way south. That's Antarctica. And an Arctic shelf fell off. And we do know that we have, once again, the younger dryas, the older dryas. We have upheaval climatic events that happen on this planet every time you turn around. Every time you turn around. It's amazing we're still here. And the Arctic shelf moved because remember, during the younger dryas and the older dryas, the earth cooled fast and warmed fast. That's what was happening. It was cooling, heating, cooling, heating, cooling, heating. That's what this planet does. Without us, we weren't there with our electric cars, driving around in our Teslas trying to be green. Baby, I don't care how green you are. This planet is going to have another ice age. This planet is going to get hot. This planet is going to get hit with another meteor, asteroid. That's what this planet does, baby. That's what planets do. And ain't none of us going to be able to stop it. When the real asteroid hits this planet, it's only a matter of time. I'm not a nihilist. I'm not a person with no faith and no inspiration. No, not at all. I have great hope. I have great inspiration. I love it. It might not happen for millions of years. What I do know is that when you look at the millions and millions and millions of years that this planet has been in existence, this planet has so many crater holes, asteroid strikes, meteor strikes, extinction level events. That's just what happens. And to not accept that would be to be in denial of our beautiful Earth Mother. Our beautiful Earth Mother is a spaceship hurtling through space. It's something like 67,000 miles a minute, I think. Let me see. How fast is Earth moving? Yeah, I think it's 67,000 miles. Look at that. Earth is going to put it in my book. Which 67,000 miles per hour. We are hurtling freaking through space. Hurtling through space, whipping around through asteroid belts, whipping around, sun flares are coming out. Like, this is a dynamic universe. So let's not think that it wasn't possible for a giant flood. Let me go back to my tablet 11. This is tablet 11 of Epic of Gilgamesh. That this flood. So it wasn't that the Anuna created the flood. The Elohim didn't create the flood. They had advanced technology, obviously, to navigate their way here from far away, light years away. And they could navigate themselves back and forth like nothing. And they could communicate back and forth like nothing. And they knew, with their seismology equipment, with their equipment appearing deep into the earth, they knew that, and the astrological movements, they knew that the earth was, that possibly their planet was going to, Nibiru was going to come into proximity of the earth, and that the atmosphere, the gravitational pull was probably going to have an accelerated effect on what was already going on earth. Under earth is moving all the time. The ice shelves are moving. The plates of the earth are moving. The volcanoes are spewing. Like, that's happening continuously. This is a dynamic, beautiful planet. It's dynamic, right? It's every second. It's moving. It's morphing. It's burning. It's breathing. This is a whole dynamic system we're living on. And we ought to give thanks every day that we're still hurtling safely through space at 67 miles per hour on a spaceship. That's what we are on. We are on a giant spaceship going real fast around the sun, flinging around the sun like this. Our hair should be blowing back how fast we're going. Yet in the beautiful creation of this whole epic thing that we're in, that's even beyond words, we're still living in it. That is a miracle. So the ice shelves melt. They also knew that it was probably going to be some accelerated weather events. And sure enough, they said, hey, we're not telling them. We're not telling the humans because they're out of control. It's too many of them. The GG done went down there and made giants with the women. This is too much. Let's just get rid. Let's just wipe the slate clean. It was a bad experiment. Anu was like, sounds good to me. Enlil was like, let's get rid of them because I'm over it. Enki said, I can't even sleep. They're hellions. Enki said, well, wait a minute now. Because, Enki's feeling feelings because he likes humans. He feels like kind of like the father, like he created humans, and he's got some of his favorite humans that he hangs out with, the Adamus and the Adamites. We can't kill all the Adamites. Kill them all the Adamites. And Enki is like, all the Adamites, all of them. Okay, so let me come off screen share for a second. Isn't this absolutely astonishing? Isn't this absolutely astonishing, right? If God is not in the Bible, then where is he? It's an excellent question. Look in the mirror. That's where it is. It's you, it's me, it's everyone. That is the infinite consciousness, the all mind, the all, whatever you call it. It's all good, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a book. It doesn't have a holy house. It doesn't have a will for you. It never did anything to anyone. It never killed anyone. That the infinite, all-knowing, all-wise, all-good source from which we all emerge isn't in a holy book. Any book at all. No book. No holy house. Not in the sky. I know, so shocking, right? Okay, Sonia. So, in the story you read, Enki's wife is actually the first Anunnaki to breed with an earthling, and their son was the first hybrid. They saved him from the flood, and he was the start of the line of humans we have today. Excellent, excellent, right? So, yes. So, family, they knew that there was going to be a flood. They knew that it was going to be catastrophic. And they said, hey, let this be our out. We can just get rid of all these humans and this can just be over because they are nothing but a headache. And because we are so super resilient, and because Enki, felt like, oh, these are my creatures. So they swore a pact and they told Enki, you swear too. And Enki said, why must I swear? Why must I swear a pact to get rid of them? Because I don't agree. And of course, it was a big argument. And they told him, you swear it with all the rest of us. And so finally, they made him swear. After they made him swear, he leaves the assembly and he's just like, oh, he's all torn up inside because he has a human that is very loyal to him in one of the stories, right? This human is Atrahasis, Utnapishtim, Noah, godly, the Bible makes him godly. In the other stories, he was a priest. He was a priest to Enki. And, even though he didn't live where Enki was, because Enki was in Africa, in the Apsu, in the South African mines. You read Michael Tellinger's book. Look up Michael Tellinger. He will tell you all about South Africa, the gold mines. He will show you incredible things all across South Africa. That is just mind-blowing. When I read his book, I almost fell off my chair. Okay, so I'm going to show you that book. We'll get to that book in a moment. Right now, we're talking about this. And so he says, how can I let him know without breaking my oath that I wouldn't tell the humans what was happening? So he came up with an idea. Once again, he's a trickster god, right? Not a god. He's a being. He's always going to find the loophole. He's super intelligent. He's a scientist. He's crafty. That's why he's envisioned as the serpent, right? And he was the serpent of the Garden of Eden. So let's see what happens in this conversation. Well, in this conversation, let's look at what he says. He goes to the temple where Utnapishtim lives. And he can't tell Utnapishtim directly what's going to happen, because if he does, he breaks his oath. So instead, he talks to a reed wall. And he says to the wall, knowing that Utnapishtim is on the other side of the wall, he says to the wall, reed wall, listen to me. Man of Shurappak, son of Ubar-Tutu, abandon your house, build a ship, give up possessions, seek thou life, forswear goods. The life keep. That means get rid of all your goods, let go of everything, but save your life. Aboard the ship, take thou the seed of all living things. Now, this is an important word right here that we want to look at. Aboard the ship, take thou the seed of all living things. It doesn't say two of this and two of that and two of that and two of that and two. It doesn't say that. It says the seed. What is the seed? Seeds. We also know that this man, Utnapishtim, also known as Atrahasis, also known as Noah, was the kind of person, since he was taking care of Enki's temple, and Enki really liked him. They had in the temple, in their space, genetic material from just about everything. Remember, Enki's a scientist. He has a lab. He has outdoor labs. He has indoor labs. These people are so, these beings were so highly advanced that they were using a lapis lazuli to write on to record information. This is how spiritual people know that crystals carry information. You can store information. All spiritual people know this. I carry crystals right here in my purse. Right here in my purse. Just like all spiritual people. We got crystals. We just shake down any witch at any airport, anywhere, and you're going to find crystals falling out all over the place. Witches, wizards, warlocks. You know us. We don't leave home without crystals. I got my pendulum in there. Crystals store information. We all know this. And they had a way of writing on lapis lazuli tablets to preserve information. They could embed information into a lapis lazuli tablet, a stone. Okay, so he tells him to make this oil, make this vessel, and he tells them to put bitumen on it to make it so that it's sealed, and he tells them to get in. And before he leaves, Nergal comes, not Nergal, Ningal, because Nergal is one of Enlil's people, I believe, because Enlil has his clan and Enki has his clan. So Enki sent one of his clan to go and make sure the ship was okay before Utnapishtim got on the ship, and like had his friends and anybody he could gather up in the night. And he said, I'm going to give you a sign, because we're going to have a sign. The Elohim were going to have a sign. There was going to be a sound like an alarm, like it's coming, leave. And they were all going to get in their spaceships and leave and hover. And that's what they did. And sure enough, here came the wind. And the wind, after the wind came the storm. And even the word that we have, hurricane, that comes from the name of a god. I believe it's in Maya, or either not Olmec or all Aztec. One of their civilizations calls the god that brought this storm hurricane. And that's where our name hurricane comes from, of this particular kind of storm. Well, remember, you can have a flood a couple of different ways. You can have a flood because it rains, or you can have a flood because the tide rises, like the Nile River. It's hardly any rain in Egypt. It's a lot of desert. But the Nile swells and floods the banks, and it has to make all of that land that is right there on the sides of the Nile fertile. They grow everything by the Nile. When you come with us to Egypt, you're going to see all the amazing crops. We go up on these hot air balloons and we look down over the Nile West Bank, and we look. It's just crops. They're growing everything in Egypt. Everything they can grow in Egypt, right? So there's a couple of different ways you can get a flood. You don't just get a flood from rain, from precipitation. Well, what this flood was one of the polar ice caps, Antarctica, because it came from the south wind blowing. Next thing you know, it's a wall of water. It's a tsunami. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so he tells them, get in the ship, take the seed of all living things. In other words, take our seeds that we have that are genetic material of many of the flora and fauna that are around here. It wasn't an actual animal. Take this animal, take that animal, take the other animal. Okay. Now, story time. Let me tell you a little bit of the story. Ooh, hold on. Hold on. Let me come off screen share for a second here. Okay. Now, hey, Jamaica. Ooh, Hurricane Beryl is on you. Oh, much love. Oh, much love to you. Much love. We're going to send you love. We're going to send you love. House of Consciousness. Say Netter, may I have an interview, please? Oh, you're having an interview with someone here in the chat. Beautiful. Religious folks say crystals are demonic. I don't. That's what they say. Yes. Yes, UFO. Kamikaze. DNA samples. Thank you. Thank you. Like, can't we see that this is very sensible if we actually don't believe the actual myth? Yet there is a truth encoded in the myth that there was the seed of things that we require. And they say that Enki had the ability to resurrect, not like bring back from the dead, but like basically he could do some genetic engineering and tampering, probably, that if he got some bodies, that he could give them this elixir and use some means of, well, we do it. We bring people back from the dead all the time. So it shouldn't be strange. We bring people back from the dead. And I read a story of a man who was dead for 3 days, Dr. Radanya. This is in the book by the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce about near-death experiences. Dr. Radanya was escaping communist Russia, and they killed him. And he was in the, Dr. Radanya was in the morgue of the hospital for 3 days. And he came back to life after 3 days. It's documented. So we bring people, we bring people back from the dead. So if you can get a body, it's possible that you could bring somebody back from the dead. Anyway, they had DNA samples, as you mentioned. They had genetic samples. So therefore, they had the seed of living things. They could plant seeds. They could do their genetic engineering, and they could bring some of these species. The species wouldn't be lost, in other words, right? Planetary Jurassic Park. I love that. Are the elite on Earth. They are on Earth and they are above the Earth. And they are beneath the sea. They're in the ocean. Just like they were for a very long time. They were in the ocean. So you know all those stories. Hey, we have explored space more than we have explored the ocean. We don't even know what's in the ocean right underneath us. We don't know what's down there. Yet the military over and over again has told us that they see these ships going at top speed and they go into the ocean. They're still here. Why wouldn't they be? So what happened with the story? We understand how the story worked. They get into the boat. Enki sent a couple of people to help them with the navigation of the boat, a couple of his people, navigation of the boat, whereas all of the Anuna, they lifted up in their ships. Enki goes to Mount Ararat, right? Supposedly where the ark lands. When he gets there, of course, his captain, his people that he sent with Utnapishtim, get the ark or the ship to where Enki is. When Enlil comes with his crew, Enlil is on his ship, Inanna is on her ship. Inanna is just crying. They describe her. She was just crying because she said, look at our people. They're like flies. They say all the Anuna gods were just crying and just so, they were shocked at the devastation of just seeing that water just, I mean, how could you not be? Remember when the tsunami hit the what was it, Tahiti, or where was it? Thailand? Where was the tsunami a few years ago? And it was just so devastating. It was so devastating. You couldn't help but be heartbroken, even if you didn't know anyone there. And so all of them were like that. They were like, "Oh my goodness, this was horrible." Just watching devastation of people with this water coming through this wall of water. So they meet up on the mountain. Sure enough, Enki makes it, to this high place, and the ark's inhabitants. It wasn't a big ship like what ark like what they show us. It was more of a cylindrical, and it was a submersible. It was built according to very specific configuration. It had very precise instructions on how to build it and to seal it so that it would be waterproof, even if it was submerged. And it worked. Of course, because Enki is a scientist and an engineer. Of course it would work. Just do it the way he said, and it was going to work. Well, when they met up, Enki and Utnapishtim and his family come out, they're like, wow. And Enki is there like, yes, oh my goodness. And then Enlil comes and he's mad. How did they survive? He ain't feeling all the remorse everybody else is feeling. How did they survive? And he's looking at Enki like, I know you're behind this. And Enki says, hey, listen, he got it in a dream. I didn't tell him. And Enki was telling the truth. He had to not break his vow. He didn't tell him. In some versions of the story, he found out through a dream. Atrahasis had a dream. And so when Enki said that to Enlil, then Enlil felt like, and Enki said, hey, maybe the real God, because they knew about the real God, the infinite, the all, the infinite, the all, that doesn't get angry. It doesn't have feelings. It's not a human. It's not a man. And it's not a woman. It doesn't have a gender. The all that cannot be even put into words, right? They knew that they would have to answer to the all. They knew this, that there was an all, and they were setting themselves up as gods of humanity. Well, let's end it with this. Then I'm going to give you some books, some resources that you absolutely want to plunge into, okay? So that you can do all this reading and research on your own and really have fun with it. It's so much fun to learn all about ancient mysteries and our origins and our beginnings. Okay, so Utnapishtim offers a sacrifice. Now, baby, this is where it gets good because those Elohim, they love the fat burning. They love the good barbecue. And they especially love the smell of the burning fat around the entrails. Do you notice in the Bible how they're always doing sacrifices? They're always putting up these altars and having the smoke ascend, and the Anunnaki is like, oh, they just love it. Enlil loves that. And so when he saw that, and he saw that it was offering, it was like a barbecue, basically. Enlil was like, okay, you're good. And then he really had a change of heart, and he decided to bless Utnapishtim and his wife. And he said, okay, you know what? Let's let bygones be bygones. This is really, we shouldn't allow this kind of devastation. We really shouldn't. And he had him and his wife kneel, and he blessed them, and they say he blessed them with eternal life. Is it possible Noah is still alive on the planet to this day? It's possible. Now, let's go back on screen share one final time. And we're going to give you a couple of things for your consideration. Okay? After story time. I want you to look up yuga cycles because we keep repeating yuga cycles. And the yuga cycles are enlightenment, and then a little less enlightenment, and a little less enlightenment, and the bottom of enlightenment, and there's a whole lot of war and conflict, and then we come into enlightenment again, and then less enlightenment, and less enlightenment, and less enlightenment, till we go into war and conflict again, and then we go into enlightenment. How about we stop our karmic cycles? Is there a way that we can get off the cycles and stay in the ascended consciousness of oneness, peace, unity? That's what I want to know. As always, use your critical thinking skills. Don't let anyone in church make you think that you shouldn't be using critical thinking skills or you shouldn't be asking questions. I want to make sure you know about the Christian Witches Convention. I want you to be there next year. And I also want you to know that the Christian Witches Mystery School soon will open initiation again. And I also want you to know that our Bali retreat, oh my God, in Ubud is sold out. Don't worry, I'm going to send you lots of pictures. And at Sonora Beach with the Bali retreat, pardon me, we only have 3 spots left. So I'm going to drop the links in the chat for those. I want you to read the Book of Enoch. This you must have. You must get this, the Naked Bible. Will blow your mind. And When God Had a Wife is really going to give you, see, the reason why I tell you have to get When God Had a Wife, if you use the Amazon links down below, that would be so helpful because that supports the channel and we're so thankful. We love you for that. Thank you. When you read When God Had a Wife, this is going to help you understand the whole redaction of the Bible. It's detailed. It's extremely detailed. This is a must read. When God Had a Wife, 101 Myths of the Bible. Of course, these are some of the references. Also, the CDLI library. Let me give you a couple of links. I want to give you a link to the CDLI library where you can read CDLI, where you can read a lot of the cuneiform tablets. Yeah, online. This is the Cuneiform Digital Library Initiative. Let me drop this in the chat for you because that way you can go ahead and get yourself some nice info on that. Then also, I want you to go to valerielove.com, global events. And that's where you can actually join us in person because we're going to be coming up. We're going to Bali. We only have 3 spots left for the Lion's Gate in Bali. Ubud is sold out, yet the beach portion is not sold out. There's only 3 spots left. Let me get you those links right there too. Then I want to also get you the link to Salem, because in Salem at Enchant Fest, I'm going to be teaching magic. And we are also going to be teaching your Witch's Bible, how to create your Witch's Bible. Hold on. And so Enchant Fest, you want to be there. And you also want to use that link for Sedona. We're going to be in Sedona. We're going to be doing rituals. We do rituals at all of our events. At all of our events, we do rituals. The rituals are profound. They are life-changing. They will change your entire consciousness like that. That's why I love rituals. I love rituals because they go right in and do the work just that quickly. Like, we don't need 10 years to transform. If we can do it now, let's do it now. And rituals do that. I love rituals. Okay. Hey, Robert, how you loving? How you loving? How you loving? All right, family. So that is Noah. So you can rest assured God did not destroy Noah. Noah, let me rephrase that because no one says God destroyed Noah. God did not destroy the world in a flood. God did not talk to Noah and tell Noah to save himself and his family. God did not tell Noah to put 2 of everything on a boat. God did not end the world by flood. These are all Elohim stories, and we have evidence, and it is good to know the truth. I love you, family. Now, next Wednesday, we will not be live because I will be on an incredible voyage. I'm going to send you lots of vids about it. Don't worry. I'm going to tell you where I am. and you are going to love it. I love you. I am so thankful for you. Thank you to all the brand new subscribers on Valerie Love YouTube channel, the Christian Witches YouTube channel, all of you in this global magical community. I freaking love you. Mwah! Peace. Kaisi out.